Hello, welcome to the Quakes Motel. My name's Conan, I'm the concierge. In today's video, I'm going to show you an advanced drum programming. I can't get this right this morning, honestly. It doesn't help that I've had some yogurt with chia seeds in it, which get all stuck in your teeth. Right, let's start that again. I'm going to show you an advanced drum programming technique in your MPC, which will help you inject some groove into your beats. Let's jump in. That is a mouthful. I can tell you it took me about 20 times to get that right, and I still didn't get it right. Okay, so today I'm going to show you a technique which I've been using in the MPC for years. Now, when I program in the MPC, I think like a drummer. When I was 5 years old, I started playing the drums. That was the instrument I chose. But you don't need to be a drummer to do this. But it's good to try and put yourself in a drummer's seat as such when you're programming, because then you can, like even if you say the beats out loud, which is something that I do all the time, and don't get me wrong, I'm not Dougie Fresh or anything, but I will mouth the beats out because then I can kind of get into a groove and then I just copy what I've been singing out loud, I suppose. And that's what I do with this technique, for instance, which I'll show you in a second. But try and put yourself in the frame of mind that a drummer would. Think that drummers, especially with snares and with hats, they're not always hitting them at the same velocity. So, you've got your 16 levels and you can change your velocities in your MPC. So utilize that to give your drums a bit more life, to get them to sound a bit more like real beats. If that's what you want to do, obviously with techno, for instance, you don't tend to program in subtle snare drum ghost snares, etc., because it's just not the kind of genre. But if you're making boom bap or lo-fi or jazz, that kind of stuff, and you want your beats to sound like real breaks, but you want to make them up yourself, or if you want to chop up a break and then reprogram it so that you're using the sounds from that break, but you want it to sound real, you don't want it to sound so robotic, you can use some of these techniques. One of the techniques is the technique I'm going to show you today. So it's with a snare drum. Now, there's a couple of little prep things that you need to do. So jumping into the MPC, let's call it MBC then. I don't know why. It's because I've been watching NBC, that's why. Jumping into the MPC, this is why I'm talking fast. Mid-morning coffee. Can't beat it. So I've got a kick drum, I've got a snare, and I've got a hat. Actually, I've got a couple of kicks and snares, but I'm just going to use those particular ones. Now, with the snare, I'm going to show you a little secret technique, which I haven't seen anybody use. Now, I'm not saying that I made it up or anything, but I thought it up on my own. I didn't copy it from anybody, but I'm not saying I'm the only person that does it. So quite often in sample packs, you've got one snare drum, okay? You have a snare drum, and you don't have different variations of that one particular snare drum. So what I do, I've taken that snare and I'll copy it onto another pad. And on that pad, you can see here, I'll go into transient, air transient. I'll take all the attack off, attack shape at 0, and then I'll get rid of the sustain to ear, basically. Because if you listen to the first snare drum, it's bright, it's got a lot of attack and smack to it. That's exactly the same snare drum. Now, the reason why I do that is because I'm putting myself in the mind of a drummer. When you're playing your hi-hat, you're playing your snare drum, you're playing your kick drum. Now, what drummers quite often do is they kind of like tease the snare, I call it. Or they kind of dribble on it a little bit, to kind of get into a groove. So instead of going dum tick cut tick boom tick cut tick, they'll sort of go dum tick cut tick boom cut cut. So they do little trills, little rolls and stuff on the snare, and you can program those in. But if you just try and program it with just one snare drum, it is a little bit more difficult. You can do it, but you're going to get it to sound more realistic if you take that snare drum and you imagine that you're kind of hitting the snare drum on the side, slightly lighter, so there's not as much punch or attack. If you actually have a snare drum in front of you and a drumstick and hit it at different parts on the skin, you will hear that it sounds different throughout the skin. If it's tuned properly, it should be in tune. It should sound the same approximately, but you will get different kind of nuances from hitting it in different parts of the snare drum. And when you're a drummer and you're playing it, you do quite often move your stick around that snare to kind of utilize that sound. So that's all I'm really doing here. Taking that snare, messed about with air transient a little bit, and then with power EQ, I've rolled off the highs to make it sound a little bit more muffled. If you listen, you can also hear a little bit of vinyl noise on that one as well. That one, because I've rolled it off, you can't hear it. But what I'm doing is I'm simulating the idea of playing a snare drum. Now, once you get that kind of frame of mind of thinking, you can take a simple kick, a simple hat and a simple snare drum and turn it into a full kit. Well, not a full kit, you haven't got toms and crashes and rides, but you can create a very realistic sounding drum kit from a sample pack that is just a kick, snare and a hi-hat by taking the individual sounds, using 16 levels and copying the sounds onto different pads and changing them slightly with EQ, with transient design, with compression. You know, you're kind of making a full kit rather than just your... Now you've got something to play with a little bit. So that's the prep work that I do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to write the drum beat, and I'm going to do it 85 BPM. Now that might not be the BPM that I end up at, but there's no shame in, when you're programming drums, if you're doing subtle little ghost kicks, ghost snares, ghost hi-hats, etc., to slow it down. There's no shame in that. If you speak to any guitarist, when they're learning licks, what they quite often do is they'll slow it down and they'll learn the lick at a much slower speed and then gradually speed up. So there's no shame in doing that at all. I mean, it might keep it at 85 BPM. Who knows? 85 BPM is a nice BPM, but just for this, we're going to start off at 85 BPM and then you can speed up if you want to. Now, what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is write in a hi-hat line. Then it'll just give me something to kind of, actually better come out of that, make sure that's on there like that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Because then I can turn off that damn awful sounding metronome. Now I've got something to write to. And I'm going to write a very simple kick. Let me think it's going to be... Might actually take one of those kicks out. Very simple snare drum. So there you go. Very simple boom bap beat. Still got the metronome going on, haven't I? Because I've got it turned on in play. There we go. You wouldn't believe the amount of times I've done that. If you've seen some of my videos, I've actually written entire beats and left the metronome underneath and not realised until I'm editing the video what to do. So there you go. Very, very simple boom bap beat. Now here we start doing the little trickery. So let's just pick our little snare here. You've got timing correct here. What you want to do is that the first one I'm going to show you, because I'm going to show you two different ones. The first one I'm going to show you, you want it in triplet and you want it in 32 triplet. Now, you can actually write this with the timing correct completely turned off if you want. But I'm going to show you it with the timing correct turned on first. Now what I'm going to be doing is it's a sort of dum cat boom cat. So it's 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. You have like a little triplet 1 2 3 da dum cat boom cat. But what I want to do is I want to have the normal. You've got 4 going on there. You've got a little triplet, then you've got one afterwards. I want the main snare to be the next part of it. So it's da boom da. So then you want to write in your actual little triplet part. So make sure you've selected the right one, go into 16 levels, you've got your velocity. Now I want to play it on different velocities because as a drummer, you're not going to hit a triplet exactly the same velocity. It's not going to go da-da-da. It's going to sort of go da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. You know, you've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's what 16 levels is really useful for. Kind of gives it that kind of realism. So can you hear it's like da-da-da-da. Now, I've shown you how to do it on the grid. To be honest with you, when I do these kind of things, I do tend to start off with the beat on the grid and have everything, you know, set up exactly how I want it. And then when I start doing ghost stuff, I do tend to turn off time correction. It might take a three or four goes to get it absolutely right. But the reason why I do that is I just tend to find that if I put it on the grid and then start moving it around, it just takes longer. Whereas if I do 3 or 4 different attempts at doing the little triplets without the grid on, I just get it much quicker. If you're just starting off and doing something like this, it might take you a little bit longer. Look, you know, I mean, I'm going to be honest, you know, without sounding patronizing, maybe I did make that look quite easy, but I made it look quite easy because I've been doing it for 40 years, you know, so I'm used to doing it. But, you know, loosen your fingers up, get those triplets in. So we've got the triplet in there. So there's another one that you can do. Take off triplets now and go to 16s. Is it 16s or is it 32s? I can never remember. Let's try 16s first. And this one's just a double. It's just a little tap that you do at the end of a bar. So it's sort of like you're just like dropping the drumstick onto the snare drum, letting it kind of bounce, which is something that you do when you get into the groove. So good. So it's that little da-da-dum. So you get a double like tap before you have the kick drum come in. It is 32s. So make sure you got that on 32, not triplet. Just try that again. So you can hear there on the grid, it's not quite right. You'd have to swing it and start moving it around. So, you know, that's giving you an example why normally when I do things like this, I won't even have time correct turned on. It just, for me, I just get it there quicker. It's maybe, you know, maybe if you want to keep time correct on, then by all means do. But for me personally, see, that for me is nailed straight away. It's just, it just sounds more human. So, you know, going on to that whole thing about the myth that J Dilla never used or sometimes turned off the grid and made his beats 100% off the grid and everything like that. What I think is probably more likely, and I am speculating here, is he did something like this. He would have some things on the grid and he would have some things with time correct turned off. And that's something that I've always done, and it's something that I've seen a whole load of people who program on the MPC. Mixing them both up, you know, don't just do it all on the grid. Don't attempt to do it all off the grid. I mean, look, by all means, I could make a beat completely off the grid and it would probably sound pretty nailed. But that's because maybe 1, I'm a drummer, and 2, I've been doing it for a long time. But an easier way of doing things. And also you have to bear in mind, if you're making tracks that DJs might play out, you do need to keep certain things on the grid just to kind of keep them in time. So it just makes it easier for DJs to mix. But if you combine that with your little ghost things, your little ghost kicks, your little ghost snare drums off the grid, then you're going to inject a lot more kind of human feel into the beat. So there you have it, pretty straightforward technique or pretty straightforward concept, but the actual execution of it, not always so easy. So use a combination of working with the grid and turning time correct off to get things to sound a little bit more human. And also get into that whole thing that I explained about copying a snare drum or a hi-hat or a kick drum and playing around with it so that you've got kind of different variations, using transient design, using EQ, using compression, even, you know, maybe adding different styles of reverbs, you know, just adding some more effects. In that way, you can literally make up a kit with multiple snare drum sounds and multiple kick drum sounds from just one kick, one snare, one hat. So thanks for watching. This is Quakes My Tail. My name's Conan. I'm the concierge. Until next time.
Here.